We have a special guest on this encore episode of the E-commerce Made Easy podcast. Tracy Beavers is an expert in marketing, sales, and business growth. Since originally recording this episode in the fall of 2023, I've had the pleasure to work with her in her Business Visibility Made Easy course, as well as in the alumni group. Tracy's down-to-earth wealth of knowledge really resonates with me and many of the other successful entrepreneurs in this group. So in this interview with Tracy, we'll be diving into email marketing, what it is, how to grow it, and what to say once you've grabbed their attention. No matter how familiar with email marketing, I'm sure you'll find great golden nuggets to propel your business forward. Welcome to the E-commerce Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Carrie Saunders. When we started this business, all I had was a couch, a laptop, and a 9-month-old. My main goal? To help others. Now, with over 20 years in the e-commerce building industry and even more than that in web development, I have seen a lot. I love breaking down the hard tech into easily understandable bits to help others be successful in their online business. Whether you're a seasoned e-commerce veteran or just starting out, you've come to the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of e-commerce together. Welcome back to the E-commerce Made Easy podcast. Today we're discussing email marketing with a special guest. It's a topic we've discussed before on this podcast, but I felt like it would be great if we brought a guest who specializes in email marketing, as it can really explode your business growth. I'm excited to introduce you to Tracy Beavers. Welcome, Tracy.
Thanks for having me, Carrie.
Oh, you're so welcome. All right, so before we dive in, I do want to tell you a little bit about Tracy and give you a background behind her. So Tracy, and I'm going to read this too, so that I don't mess anything up and miss something. So Tracy is the founder and CEO of Tracy Beavers Coaching. Tracy has a proven track record in marketing, sales, and business growth. With 20 years experience, Tracy has helped hundreds of entrepreneurs with everything from overcoming the fear of sales to growing their business visibility through organic marketing strategies. She is a public speaker and a published author. She has been featured on top business podcasts and has been a regular contributor on one of her hometown's premier TV shows. She is the creator of 2 online programs, Business Visibility Made Easy and Be a Confident Entrepreneur. I met Tracy in a business Facebook group that we were in together, and we hit it off pretty much right away, and she's always been super helpful in that group and always giving, which I felt that would be perfect for her to be on our podcast to help us out today. So let's jump right into email marketing. So again, Tracy, I'm so happy to have you on our podcast today.
Thanks. I'm really excited to be here. And we did hit it off. And if I recall, it's because I don't love tech and you do. And I needed to navigate Google Analytics, the changeover from UA to GA4.
Yeah.
And you made that so easy. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so glad I could help there because I love tech. So it's my
so
fun thing.
Yeah. I'm so thankful for people like you, Carrie. I really am.
Well, and I'm thankful for people like you who can do like the words in the email marketing better than I can. So we can just mutually help each other.
We can, absolutely.
All right. So let's first talk about why email marketing is like your number one thing that you really need to be doing in business success.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That's a great question. So I like to say that the number one thing you need in your business is an email list. And a lot of people will say, well, because I coach brick and mortar entrepreneurs as well as online entrepreneurs. I got my start here locally with in my area with brick and mortar entrepreneurs doing some small business center work through the University of Arkansas. So I've worked with entrepreneurs, in every category. And the online entrepreneurs seem to get it right away that they need the email list, but the brick and mortar are sometimes, or the product based, are sometimes a little more hesitant to come on board with it. But the truth of the matter is that as business owners, we have to have a way to not only stay in contact, regular contact with our clients, but also top of mind. And a lot of people, my clients and students will say, well, I'm going to use social media for that. Okay, that's awesome. Social media is a great plan. You definitely want to have your social media presence and your online presence all dialed in and all that. But Carrie, as you and I both know, social media could disappear tomorrow. I mean, it was I think it was a year or maybe it was 2 years ago when Facebook and Instagram went dark for like 36 hours. And I am part of, Facebook asked me to be part of their Meta Leaders Network. And we're all in a Facebook group together. When the lights came back on and everybody was able to get back on the platform, the sad thing was there were thousands of leaders in that group with me whose businesses were solely relying on social media, and they lost a lot of money. And it was the people that were prepared with an email list that were able to keep going and keep making money and keep staying top of mind and not missing sales. So Amy Porterfield is someone that you and I both follow and love. And she said during that 36-hour period, she actually made $14,000. But it was because she had an email list. And it was a couple of emails to her list that talked about one of her programs that's on Evergreen that people could buy anytime. And it's because she wasn't relying solely on social media. So you've probably heard this saying before that if we build our businesses just on social media, we're building on rented land because we don't own it. We don't own Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, none of those. And we don't control the algorithm there. I mean, we have zero. I could tell Facebook all day long that Carrie is my BFF and I want her to see everything that I post. But Facebook is not going to listen to me, you know? And so, and I have girlfriends that'll say, we're connected. Why am I not seeing your stuff? And I'm like, I have no idea. So we just don't have any control over it. And so the best way to make sure you stay top of mind and regularly connected with your clients is through that email list.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because as techies, we've been on social for a long time, and we used to have an email newsletter list that I would regularly email. And by about the time COVID hit, I took a break for 2 or 3 years and didn't email that list, right? Yeah. And just as soon as I kicked that back up, I got a brand new client from my email list, not from social media, but from my email list. So I totally agree with you. And the open rate is usually pretty high on the email and conversion rate versus social media.
Exactly. I don't know the exact percentage. I want to say it's like 5% of your audience is going to see what you do on social media. But is it 40% more likely to see it and consume it through email? I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
Sounds about right. Yeah,
I don't need to be quoting statistics, just like I don't need to be trying to do the tech stuff.
Too funny. Oh, all right. So then if you were a business and you wanted to either have an email list or grow an email list without like creating a bunch of lead magnets or paid ads, and lead magnets are, if somebody's not familiar who's listening to it, it's, more like it's a free PDF or something like that where you're giving them value in exchange for their email. So right. How would you like grow their email list here?
Yeah, there's lots of different strategies that a business owner can use, and it depends on who their audience is, where they're going to find them, and what they do. So if it's, I was giving a talk to a group the other day that are all brick and mortar and largely product based. And so I gave the example of my chiropractor. My chiropractor is a great example of somebody who does this really well. When you go in and you're onboarded as a patient, you fill out that information. Well, they put your email address in their email system so that they can continue to nurture you and send you information. There's a boutique that I love here in town. They do the same thing. So if you're service-based brick and mortar, like a chiropractor's office or massage therapy or neurofeedback, it doesn't matter if you're doing that or you're like a boutique selling women's clothing or shoes or children's clothing or something like that. The system that you do this is the same. You ask the client for the email address and you go ahead and get their permission, obviously, to add to the email address, and then you continue to nurture them. If you think about it, there's the store Bath and Body Works does an amazing job of this. Anytime you go check out with one of their cashiers, they're going to say, "Are you on our email list? May I have your email?" I mean, they don't even, they're just like right out of the gate. They don't even say hello most of the time. It's like, "May I have your email?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you did such a good job of this." But then they continue to nurture you and send you things and, remind you of what's on sale and things like that. So there's lots of different creative ways you can do that, and capture that email address of your client. One of the fun ways to do it is by asking what's your birthday and what's your email address, and then making sure that they get like an e-card or a little note on their birthday. That's always fun. And then if you're an online entrepreneur, like you and I were talking about, lead magnets are a great foundational start. I always want my online entrepreneurs to have 2 to 3 really great free opt-ins that people can opt in for and land on your email list. One of mine is how to have authentic conversations in the DMs, where I teach people how to have human being, warm, kind conversations that are networking conversations, much like you'd have in person, but it takes place in the DMs so that it can grow their business. Well, people want to opt into that because they struggle with, what do I say when I connect with a new person? And so by opting into that, they're going to follow my email list. Now, I like to take things a little step further. I have about 10 strategies that I developed by myself, because every list building training that I'd ever been through, they were teaching me either to run paid ads, which I'm not going to do because those are an exercise in futility, in my opinion. And it can be a massive waste of money, which they were for me, unfortunately. Or they're teaching you how to create a lead magnet and post it out on social media, which again is awesome. It's a great foundational piece. But I thought to myself, my list is growing, but there's got to be other ways I can do this. And so we want to make sure, going back to those foundational pieces that we're talking about, how a lead magnet can be a foundational piece. One of the strategies that I've developed is how to use your personal Facebook profile or your Instagram profile, wherever you are, to grow your email list. And for me, when you land on my Facebook personal profile, I make sure that not only is the entire menu of Tracy Beavers coaching there in the about section, in the contact section, all of my links are there, so you can connect with me anywhere you want. But I use the cover photo as prime real estate to promote something in my business. If I am entering a time where my 8-week group coaching program is going to reopen, my cover photo will be showcasing signing up for a live masterclass, or that the doors are open to the group coaching program. And by putting a little click here graphic on that cover photo, that makes people click on it. And a lot of people don't know this, but a little description box is going to open up to the right. And that's where you can put all the hyperlinks of whatever it is you're advertising on that cover photo. And then if I'm not in a launch, what you'll see on my cover photo is, come join my free Facebook group. And again, it instructs you on that cover photo to click here, because when you click on the cover photo, then you can grab the link to my Facebook group. The same thing goes for your business profile, your Facebook business page. You want to have that maxed out as well, and use that cover photo to allow somebody to land on your email list, whether it be for them to grab the link to your free Facebook group, or grab a link to a lead magnet, or download your latest podcast episode, or your blog. And hopefully in your podcast episodes and in your blogs, you've got a way for them to opt in to do something with you. So those are just some of the ways that, we can talk about email list growth outside of creating lead magnets.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I actually remember us having conversations for the first time in Facebook Messenger when we really didn't quite know each other at first. And honestly, you did a really great job of just being friendly and helpful. And I was super impressed by that, rather than, sometimes people will just be super spammy in Messenger. And you really were you just showed up to be genuinely you, and just helpful, and invited me into your free Facebook group, which I love. It's a great Facebook group, and we will link to that in the show notes if you're listening to this and want to get into Tracy's Facebook group. So,
Thank you.
But yeah, no, it's something I've been learning a lot lately is the banners at the top, because I'm so used to using my personal Facebook as my personal Facebook and not having a banner for my business up there, even though we're almost 21 years old now.
Right. And I get it. I have clients that'll say to me, okay, Tracy, but it's my personal Facebook profile. And I totally understand it. And I'm not saying I want you to post about your business all the time on your personal profile. Not at all. In fact, I think a good rule of thumb, and one of my clients just asked me this today. She's like, give me the percentage of how much do I post on my personal profile about my business? And I said, 20%, start with that. Do a couple of posts a week about your business or one post a week about your business, but do allow your profile to reflect you and your business so that people know exactly how to take the next step with you. Because as you and I found out, we're in a Facebook group together, and that's how I met you. And when you go to post something really cool about tech, and I see, oh, I'm like, oh, Carrie posted this thing about changing from UA to GA4. I need to connect with her. I need to know who this girl is. She really knows her stuff. Well, you're 9 times out of 10, your personal profile is what's going to appear in that Facebook group. There are some times when a group will allow you to join as a business page, but it's up to the person who owns the group whether or not they allow you to do that. In my group, I want people joining under their personal profile because, as you know, I'm all about human connection, and I don't want businesses connecting with businesses. I want humans connecting with humans. And so being in that group, your personal profile is what's going to be reflected, not your business page. And so I see something cool you posted about GA4, and I think, oh, I need to hire Carrie. And if I went to click on your personal profile and there was no information about you, no website links, no way for me to connect with you further or really see what you were all about before I decide if I want to connect with you further, well, that's where the connection stops. And so, one of my clients was really hesitant to do this. She coaches parents of children who have ADHD, and she has an amazing brick and mortar business up in Cape Cod. And so I was helping her get into the online space with her new courses and programs. And I told her, I said, we really need to use your personal profile that way. We really need to make your cover photo showcase what you want people to do with you when they land there. Who you are, what you do, who you serve. And do you want them to book a call with you? Do you want them to grab a free lead magnet? Do you want them to join your Facebook group? Do you want them to join your live masterclass? And when she did that, she had friends and family reaching out going, oh my gosh, I had no idea what you did. My neighbor or my friend at church or my so-and-so that I'm connected with, their child just got diagnosed with ADHD. Can I connect you with them? And so it's amazing how when our friends and family really understand what we do, they can help bring us business too.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree with that because honestly, most of my friends and family don't even know what I do.
Right. Right. My husband's my biggest cheerleader, but Carrie, if you asked him what I do, he'd be like, she's a business coach. And that's, that's about it.
Oh, that's too funny. Do you have any other outside of the box type of ways to also build your email list that you can think of that's a little bit more unique?
I love having a free Facebook group. I really do. For most businesses, it makes perfect sense because it's an easy yes. When I invite somebody to my Facebook group, first of all, I don't invite everybody. I do get to know people in the DMs, and I do like to connect with people and have a conversation and find out what they're all about and make sure that they are a warm, kind, person that's not going to come in and spam my group. Mm-hmm. And once I get past that part, and if they're an expert in their field, then that's a no-brainer for me. I want them to come into my group to meet the members that are in there because, yeah, I'm a business and sales coach, but there are things that I am not an expert in. I'm not an expert in how to build a podcast. I'm not an expert in how to monetize your blog. I'm not an expert on UA to GA4 and some of those other techie things. And so I want experts in my group to help support the members that are there. But when I meet somebody, I can say, hey, I've got this great group. This is what we're all about. If you're an entrepreneur, you can come in and you can promote yourself anytime and you can get support when you need it. Well, that's a really easy yes for them because I'm not asking them to buy anything. I'm not asking them to even give me their email address. But when they go to my Facebook group to join, the way I have the membership questions set up, it does compel them to want to give me their email address because of what I'm offering them when they come in and answer the membership questions. So my Facebook group grows my email list by hundreds of people every single month because I do meet so many people and they are looking for a place like what I have. But one of my clients helps parents of children who have a mental health diagnosis. And she asked me, she said, do you think a free Facebook group would be good for me? And I said, I think it's an absolute no-brainer for you because, think about when your child got diagnosed, how much Googling did you have to do to find the answers you were looking for and the support you needed? She was like, oh my gosh, it was crazy. She said, it was all the time I was Googling this, I was Googling that, and I never knew if I got good information. And then I couldn't find a support group that I really felt comfortable in. And I said, well, you can create that community. And from that, it'll build your email list. But then from that, you'll probably have a lot of clients that want to hire you because you can help them. So that's kind of a little outside the box thing that a lot of people don't consider. And then just networking online. We talked about having authentic conversations in the DMs. And I think the reason why I'm so good at it in the online space is because I have over 20 years of experience in marketing and sales and business growth in the corporate sector, where it was all about meeting people person to person and networking at chamber events and Rotary events and things like that. And so I'm very used to finding out, who you are, who you serve, what you do, and then helping you if I can connect you with somebody else. That's what networking is all about. And so a lot of people get tripped up with the DMs because they think it's like their brain wants to think about it differently. And so what I always say is the conversation is the same. It's just the location of the conversation that's changed. So instead of you and I meeting at a Chamber of Commerce event and having an in-person conversation, we're meeting in a Facebook group or a virtual event. And then we're extending that conversation where we probably would have extended it into a coffee shop. Now we're extending it into the DMs. And that's where, again, when people get curious about you and they want to know more about you and they go to your personal profile, that's how the funnel starts, is they land on that personal profile, whether you are in a Facebook group with them and you posted something cool, or you're having a conversation with them in the DMs and they think you're cool. But we always want to be list building and showing people how they can land on our email list.
Yeah, that totally makes sense to me, because I mean, I couldn't count how many times that I have seen somebody in a Facebook group either helping or asking a question. And that's one of the first things I do. I go look at their Facebook profile, or I might try to see if they're on LinkedIn as well and get a little bit more information about them. But yeah, I totally do that. I'll go look and find out more about them. And then I might engage with them once I feel a little bit more comfortable and get to know them. And then you can just have that normal, friendly conversation like you would in person or on the phone.
Right. Exactly right. I don't want anybody to miss their next great connection, whether it's a new client or a potential collaboration partner like what you and I are doing. I mean, if I didn't have my personal profile dialed in, you might not have thought I was, an expert in my subject matter enough to ask me to be a guest on your podcast, and I would have missed this opportunity.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Yeah. All right. So let's say we have a good email list now, or we have some momentum on our email list. What do you say to your subscribers to really nurture them and keep them on your email list and keep them engaged? How do you keep that conversation going when you feel like you're just kind of talking to a computer when you type your newsletter rather than talking to a friend or a customer or something that's on the other end? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I do recommend that if at all possible, people email their list once a week. Now, if that sounds too much, that's okay. Do it once a month, then work up to twice a month, then see if you can work up to 4 times a month. And if you think about it, your favorite store is probably in your inbox 2 or 3 times a day. There are retail stores that I'm like, really? You just sent me an email this morning. But, so they don't have any problem doing it. Now I don't recommend you do that. Don't email your list more than once a day, but you know what I'm saying. Once a week
Right.
is good. And I love what you just said. My answer is exactly the key to my answer is in what you just said. I want them to have a conversation. First of all, when we write an email, we don't want to write it to a group of people. So so let me give you an example. So which one of these feels better if you were to open the email and I said, "Hey everybody, I hope you've had a great week," or if what you see is, "Hey Carrie, gosh, it's freaking hot here in Arkansas. I hope it's not so hot where you are. We're about to melt down over here." Which one of those feels better?
Definitely number 2.
Yeah, because I used your name and because I'm addressing you. And so it's kind of like the in-person conversation that is no different when you get to the DMs. It's no different when you get to the email. You're having a conversation with one person. It's like you're sitting across from them at a coffee shop and you're saying something about your day. You're asking them about them, and then you're going to give them some really cool information. And your emails don't have to have like fireworks and sparklers attached to them. They do not have to be magnificent, over the top things every single week. My emails, I've gotten in kind of a cycle and a groove with it, where my Tuesday email will tell you what's going to be my live topic on Thursday in my Facebook group, so that you'll join me if it's a topic that appeals to you. And then my email on Friday is the replay of the day before the training. Hey, Carrie, did you miss the live training yesterday all about XYZ? No worries. I got your link here. Go ahead and click on it and listen to the replay. And this is what's going to go on next week, and I'll see you then. And then sometimes my emails are, hey, Carrie, I heard this really great podcast. This gal named Carrie's got this really great podcast, and she was interviewing this gal named Tracy who knows all about email list growth. And I wanted to share it with you because I thought it was valuable. You can totally do something like that. You could say, hey, did you see this article in Forbes magazine about, how AI is taking over the world? Do you think it really is or not, or whatever? But think about your audience. What do they need? What can you give them? What do they want to hear? And provide it. And again, it doesn't have to be original content to you every single time. One of my clients is in the health and wellness space, and she teaches yoga and meditation, mindfulness, and nutrition. And so she'll take a little tidbit. She does make a traditional newsletter, and it goes out a couple of times a month. And she'll take a little snippet of each of those categories and give them something like a recipe or a mindfulness practice tip, or, a meditation tip or something like that.
One thing I think I find, especially as business owners, it's so hard to not be formal in your newsletters and in your emails. Do you have any good tricks on how to break that habit? Because I know that we kind of have that habit here still, and it's something I'm still trying to break after a couple years of reigniting our email list. But it's so easy just to feel like I need to be formal because it's a business when I really shouldn't be, because that's not a good way to connect.
Right. And it's because we were trained. I mean, like trained in high school and college on that. Anytime you go to write an essay, it's got to be the 5-point essay where you do the intro, and then you got the 3 paragraphs about this thing, and then you've got the outro, and that all that grammar and punctuation and all that jazz. It's still in the back of my mind when I go to write something. I'm sitting over there typing. I'm going, oh, my English teacher would absolutely hate this email, But you have to write like you talk. And for me, I'm Southern, and I talk fast, and I tend to make up words. And so I literally will just write like I talk, because I want it to feel like we're having a conversation. I don't want it to feel like there's this robotic voice that wrote the email. And I want it to have my personality. You want to let your personality shine through, whether you're goofy like I am and you make up words, or you fumble words or put things in different order, or you have funny little things that you say. Like, I love to say Happy Friday Eve Day every Thursday. That's just something that stuck with me for a long time. And so I'll do that. That's part of my brand. So if you have, ways that you phrase something, or something in your business that you're always saying, like I'm always saying, all roads need to lead to list building. Those are things that you'll see regularly in my emails. But the key is to remember that you're writing to another human being. There's a human being on the other end of that email that's going to open it and read it. And you want to have your personality leap off the page to that person. Have it feel like you are sitting in front of them and they're listening to you talk, rather than just reading something that is grammatically correct. And that brings up another point. Emails are skimmed. The
Right.
most important parts of the email are the subject line and the PS at the bottom. Everything else is skimmed. So my English teacher really would hate my emails, because literally sometimes it's one line. I write one sentence, and then there's a couple of spaces for white space, and one more sentence, and a couple of spaces and white space. But it's because I want my reader's eye to be able to easily skim and get the meat of what I'm trying to say. Because I don't know about you, but if I open an email where there's a paragraph that has more than 3 lines on it, my brain is like, I don't have time to read that right now. And so you run the risk of your subscribers, the people on your list, not actually reading the email. But yeah, just make it skimmable. Put emojis in it. Now, not too many emojis. I've seen some emails where there's so many emojis on it, I can't even find the words. So you know, write like you talk. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I do find that the emails I'm on, I read the ones more that are more written like you talk rather than super formal. So I completely get that and understand that. And it's certainly something I'm really working for us to do is write like we talk, because we're just, such an old business. We still write old school still.
It's hard to break the habit.
It really is hard to break. All right. So let me ask you though. Okay, what's one thing you wish you'd known sooner about email marketing?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. What I wish I'd known sooner was that there were more ways to grow an email list besides paid ads and just creating more lead magnets. Because when I first started out, that's all I heard.
Mm,
And that's why, I have all these other strategies that I can teach. Because once I dialed that in addition to the lead magnets, the list growth just took off organically. And then not being afraid to email the list. People will
right.
have people subscribe to their lists, and then I'll say, well, how regularly are you emailing? And then they just stare at me like, I don't want to answer that question because they haven't emailed them yet. But if people are attracted enough to what you're offering to join you and give their email address, that's a huge compliment, because that's a big deal to get somebody's email address. And then we need to know that they know us, that they like us, right? And then we need to just go ahead and email them regularly. So, the importance of that consistent, regular email, even if it feels like what I'm saying that day doesn't seem all that important, it's important to reach out and make that connection.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, because I do know that, like, if I'm on an email list that rarely emails me, I won't remember them. And then when they do email me out of the blue, I'm like, why is this person emailing me? So I think that's something that people really need to get in their minds, is it is really important to set that regularity, whether it's once a month or once a week,
Yes,
because the more familiar people are with you, the more likely they're going to open your emails and actually read them rather than unsubscribe from them and wonder why the heck you sent them an email to begin with, right?
exactly. Exactly. I have that happen too. I'll get an email and I'm like, did I sign up for this? I don't know who this person is.
Completely agree. All right. So I think that's a great, like, I don't want to give everybody too much to chew on. I think that's just such a great tidbits that we've done there, Tracy. So thank you so much. So where can we find you if one of our listeners wants to learn more about Tracy Beavers?
I would love for everybody to find me in my free Facebook group. It's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur, Get Visible and Grow Your Income. And I go live there every Thursday at 11:30 with new training. I bring in guest experts. We do a really fun series called the Entrepreneurial Inspiration Interview, where we interview one of our members about their journey, just to kind of normalize the conversation about how exciting it is to build a business and how scary it is to build a business, and all the stuff that happens in between. Those are some really fun conversations as well, and they can get support with whatever they need, because there's awesome people in there like you that understand tech. And they can I had a gal post the other day with a ConvertKit question, and she had 5 people support her and answer her and get her where she needed to go. So it's just a great group. I'd love it for everybody to join us there.
That's really awesome. I actually absolutely love that you do the way you do your Facebook group is absolutely wonderful. I love how much you give in it, and just the community just tries to help everybody out. I just love that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It just makes my heart so happy when somebody posts and they need help, and then, 3 or 4 people rush to their rescue. It's just great.
Right. Yeah. No, it's just building such great friendships too, and just great connections.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast today. I had so much fun talking with you again. I know we've only talked in person. I think this is number 2 time. But I absolutely love talking to you. And thank you so much for being on our podcast today.
Thank you, Carrie. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm flattered that you asked me to come help your audience with email marketing.
Well, I think it's definitely something people need to pay attention to and they forget to. So I appreciate your expertise today.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to this special encore episode with Tracy Beavers. I know for me personally, I could listen to Tracy's advice more than once to really let it sink in. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed our discussion with Tracy today. Be sure to visit our show notes at ecommercemadeeasypodcast.com/49 to connect more with Tracy and to get our notes on the special episode. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast wherever you're listening, whether it's on the YouTube channel or on a podcast player, so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And we'd love to hear what you'd think too. Drop us an email at podcast@bcsengineering.com with any questions on email marketing or any website or e-commerce questions you may have. And we will see you next week.